have made it. We have worked our way through a whole entire year of machine quilting stars. Let's stitch a year of stars. Thank you all for joining along with me and stitching with me this year. I have had so much fun creating this stitch along and sharing these videos with you today. And I just have to say that the images and different things that you have shared with me throughout the last year have truly inspired me on my own machine quilting journey. So thank you to each of you. The star quilt block that we are going to be stitching today, the last one, is the Wandering Star, another awesome quilt block. Now, if you're just starting, you can still join. You do have access to each of these videos forever. They will live here on YouTube, well, as long as YouTube exists. Plus, besides that, we do have a couple of companion workbooks that you definitely should check out. We do have a piecing workbook available for purchase on our website that teaches you step-by-step how to piece this panel. Now, this is a panel. I am quilting all of my stars on a custom panel that's available for purchase through Honest Fabric. But like I said, if you'd prefer to piece your own, you can totally do that as well. You can also stitch these designs on solid fabrics, stitch them out and use them as pillows. You can do whatever you want with these designs. I really just hope to inspire each of you on your own machine quilting journey. Now, we also have a machine quilting workbook that's also a companion to this stitch along. The machine quilting workbook shows you an illustration of my quilt block design with all of the machine quilting clearly illustrated in full color. Then on the next page, we have a blank page where you can sketch, do, or draw your own machine quilting on that star. So cool. I love those workbooks. But I also love machine quilting. So let's get stitching. I'll start out by using my mini 4-in-1 machine quilting ruler and stitching in the ditch all the way around the outside of this quilt block. The thread that I'm using here today is So Fine, color number 402. We do have the rulers and thread and lots of other notions, including the batting, available for purchase over on our website, pieceandquilt.com. Once I have stitched in the ditch all the way around the outside of the block, then I'll adjust my ruler, and now I'm going to start stitching in the ditch around each of those light pink areas. I'm going to dress each of these areas up with some straight lines. So once I've stitched in the ditch around the outside of that unit, now I'm going to stitch evenly spaced 1/2 inch apart straight lines. So I'll start out by lining up my mini 4-in-1 machine quilting ruler so the side of the ruler is right on top of my ditch. Then I'll stitch a straight line. When I get to the opposite side, I'll adjust my ruler, stitch up the ditch, moving up a 1/2 inch, where I'll repeat that process, filling in that light pink unit with those straight lines completely. Once I filled in that first light pink unit completely, now I'm going to move into the center where I'm going to dress up that first yellow unit. So I'll stitch along my ditch, moving to the center. From the center point, I'm going to stitch a large swirl, swirling into the center and then back out to my previous stitch line. Repeating that process, alternating directions, and working to the outside of that yellow unit. When I get to the outside of that yellow unit, from there, I'm going to stitch in the ditch, continuing on, this time stitching around the outside of that light pink unit, and then again, filling it in with those evenly spaced straight lines. So with those straight lines, you'll notice that the angle they are is based off of the angle of my quilt block. So working my way around the block, those lines will alternate directions as I work my way around. Once I've stitched the straight lines in that unit, then I'll stitch along the ditch, along that corner triangle, working my way from there across the ditch, across the top of the block, stitching the ditch down around that blue unit back to the center. Now from there, because I do love the look of stitch in the ditch, I will stitch in the ditch out to the pink section, coming back to the center point. Then from there, I'm going to go back into stitching those swirls, this time in the blue section, swirling into the center. And when I get to the center point, then I'm going to swirl back out, stitching 3 of those swirls all the way back out to the outside of that blue unit. Now, when I get to the outside, that blue unit is complete, and I'm going to travel over to the next light pink unit. So, like I've done before, I'll start out by stitching in the ditch around the outside of that unit. Then from there, I'm going to stitch and fill in with those evenly spaced straight lines. Once I've filled in that section with those evenly spaced straight lines, now I'm going to travel back to the center by traveling along the side of that yellow unit. When I get back to the center of my block, then again, I'm going to start out by filling in that yellow unit with those swirls, starting with a large one and getting smaller, alternating directions as I stitch to the outside. Once I have that yellow section complete, now I'll travel down to the next light pink section where I'm going to stitch in the ditch around that light pink section. However, this time, instead of going in and filling in that section, I'm going to go right into filling in that remaining blue block with those swirls. So again, starting with a large one and getting smaller as I stitch my way all the way to the outside of that point. From there, then I'll go back to that straight line quilting and fill in that light pink section completely with those evenly spaced straight lines. Once I've stitched out those evenly spaced straight lines, I just have my corners to complete. Now, I could have gone through and stitched out these corners in the beginning when I was doing my stitch in the ditch work, but I decided to stitch them last. So starting in one corner, I'll start out by stitching a large swirl, swirling in towards the center, leaving enough space for me to stitch back out. Once I get to the center, I'll stitch back out and stitch to the opposite corner. I'll repeat that process, stitching in the ditch, moving to the next corner on all 4 corners of my block. From that point, if I have done any marking, I'll mist away those marked lines, and I'll end up with a beautiful block design. Now, if you do want a little bit more inspiration, make sure you do hop over to my Patreon page, patreon.com/Natalia Bonner, where I have another version of this quilt block design all stitched out and a whole lot more quilty inspiration. Have a great day, everybody.